Israeli Arabs make up around 20% of the population in Israel, but when it comes to their depiction in the media, statistics find that they only make up a touch over 1%, usually in the context of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. A similar situation exists with the ultra-Orthodox minority, which, though Jewish, is largely separate from the mainstream Israeli society. We're very happy to be joined in studio by two people who want to change that reality. Nicole Hod, Deputy Director of ANU, in Hebrew that means us, and journalist and activist Tzipi Arom. Good morning to the two of you.
Good morning.
Now, and via Skype, of course, we're also joined by hand-in-hand community organizer Laila Najjar Amori, who will be joining us in a minute. But I want to start with you, Nicole, because you're the Deputy Director of ANU. The need for an organization as such is why? What is the representation of both Arabs and ultra-Orthodox Jews?
I think in any democracy, it's crucial to have diverse media. It's important to have the perspectives of the entire population and for the public to enjoy new creativity, perspectives, knowledge of everyone, Arabs included in this society.
And not only that, I mean, I think that people will argue, not against you, but to you, is that, no, we have, minorities in prime time. I always find, and I'm going to say it in a very controversial thing right now, and maybe, I'll turn to you, Tzipi, that in primetime shows in Israel, for example, such as that are worldwide known, it's formats like MasterChef or, Big Brother, which here is, a huge success. You always find, like, the token minority. You have, your token Arab, you have your token ultra-Orthodox person, but you will not see them in other places, right?
Right, and also when you're talking about those reality shows, there will also, a lot of times they would be the awkward people, right, not those who represent us seriously, and then it's kind of a, funny issue instead of making it very serious. And, we are normal people, just like all of the other people in this country, but since you don't see us, we are not represented well, so then it's a problem because you don't see an ultra-Orthodox news anchor, for example, and it's not like there aren't women who can do that. You can see us covering media in things that are not related to ultra-Orthodox people, almost not. You wouldn't find people in all the boards of the media, big media systems in Israel. So we are totally misrepresented
in media boards in Israel.
Yes, that's
or
another
around
problem.
The world, if I may say so myself. No, I think that you probably have it, in both cases, and also Laila, who'll be joining us shortly, is just being, of a minority community and a woman, which is, hard to begin with. So what is ANU trying to do? Because as Tzipi Arom just mentioned, and you're a journalist and an activist, I think it's very much that also. If there's a war in this country on panels, on security panels, usually we'll see a bulk of men, right? Maybe you see a woman anchor, but you'll never see a woman on the panel. You'll never see a minority on the panel. You're not going to see an Arab on the panel. How do you change it? How is your organization proposing to change that?
So one of ANU's main objectives is to diversify the public discourse, and what we established was, on one hand, what we call...
That almost sounds like we're going to bring peace to the Middle East.
Well, yes, but you know what? We're making change. We started with what we call the Women's Media Center, talking about women. We created, on one hand, a group of activists, women journalist activists that are trying to change things, doing monitoring, making sure that women are participating. And we created a website that has a list of all the women experts, so that whenever news entities need an interviewee, they can have it in the, right away. And we did the same thing with the Arab community. So we have a website called the Arab Media Center, and we have over 100 experts. And the idea is when there's an issue that has to do with science, technology, arts, education, that's when it's a good opportunity to listen to what individual Arabs experts on these issues have to say.
But not just in those situations. And what if there's another war, in this region, another operation, such there was one over the course of the summer, Protective Edge. But wouldn't it be incredibly hard to put, Israeli Arabs on as panelists in that?
And I think that any democracy deserves to take the risk and bring other voices and hear what people have to say, even if it's different from what we have to do. Because I think the public has the right to make a decision. Maybe we don't agree with them, but at least we have to listen out. I think it would make things a lot better if we can listen to what the other has to say about the way they're feeling. And it's also important to say that when we bring an Arab expert to the news station, he's reflecting his own individual vision. He's not saying what all the Arabs think. So we also have to be very careful with generalizations.
No, incredibly careful. I mean, there's some will argue that there are some military correspondents in the Israeli media that always bring their personal agenda into the mix. And I just hinted at that to those who understand what I'm talking about. But, and we're also joined, Tzipi and Nicole, we're also joined on the phone by hand-in-hand community organizer Laila Najjar Amouri, who's on your website, right?
That's right.
Laila, good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you?
We're good, we're good. Just quickly to you, as we follow this on, you also received some type of kind of training on how to bring your point across in front of a camera by this organization, ANU, correct?
Yes.
And how did that go about?
I think it was very useful. It's the first time that in my life I know how to look to the other, to the camera, how to set, how to use my hands, and to make focus on my words, not on my clothes or my appearance.
And
Lila, so it was very useful.
And Lila, not only that, I can assure you, from where I'm sitting here, everybody can be on camera, seriously, everybody. But stay with us. Tzipi, I want to ask you, the misconception, the misconception about the ultra-Orthodox community within Israeli media, within Israeli press. Do you think that joining in on the discourse is something that's going to help? Or is that something that, when it comes to the Israeli society, deep down inside, we're also divided that nothing else is, it's not going to move forward?
People are not stupid, and they don't want that to be told what to think. So when you bring them other voices, they listen. I'm part of an organization called DOSIM.
DOSIM in Hebrew, I'll explain, is it's almost a slang word. It's a slang word about, yes, about ultra-Orthodox people.
And we have a website. The web is a very good tool today to bring our voices out. So we're a group of young people who decided that we wouldn't be silent anymore about these misconceptions that the people in Israel get about the Haredi, the ultra-Orthodox society, because of the way it's represented and it's brought to the media. All the items, you would always find negative items instead of good items. Right. And also, lots of times, they wouldn't check the facts. So I have this website. We have this website. And we, first of all, respond. If you write something against us, be sure.
We will respond.
Yes. Okay. Also, in a lot of media boards today, they know us. So they would refer to us. A lot of newspapers know us today, websites, websites. So if they need a response for something, they would refer to us. At least we would respond. Sometimes we could influence, and we could bring our own items. So then we make the change. It's not about if we could make the change. It's done. It's happening. There's still a big way to go, but it's happening. So first of all, if you bring it out, it happens. Then the other thing is that if you would see people, ultra-Orthodox people around these tables, but like as journalists, not like me.
No, so but then you look at them at that. I mean, listen, I would like to be the most optimistic person, and to quote Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. But that said, just to play devil's advocate, and sadly all the time, Nicole, I'm asking you, is this working? Are people turning to you, and be honest? Because I think, the same question that I asked Tzipi. We are witnessing a time within the Israeli society of major divisions, of divisions seated so deeply that, it seems like it's going to need, 17 tractors to uplift this. Is it working?
I want to say it's working. It's definitely working. The moment that journalists start understanding the importance in doing this check before they start a new item, and they think, am I being creative enough and diverse enough and diversifying? Am I bringing enough voices? And then they reach out to us. Of course, whenever there's a war, it brings us back 30 years. Exactly. And so it is a very difficult job. We're also doing it with women. We might say that with women it's easier and it's working. With Arabs it's going to take longer. But I think that if our society grows up watching Arabs talking about science and breakthroughs and cure for cancer, and there are these experts here in Israel developing these issues in our universities, then it's going to be very important for us to be able to
then possibly
approach
maybe
them.
it will affect us as societies as well.
Yes.
And for coexistence. Optimistic item of the day and the week. Sadly, all the time we have. Lila, thank you for being with us. Of course, Tzipi as well, and Nicole, as we move on. Thank you.